Hello everyone, welcome. I'm Hyrax, and today I'm going to be doing a quick review on Spider-Man Remastered, and whether or not you should buy it. And let me just say, I think it's a really good game, and it's worth the money, but let's go ahead and dive into some of its pros and cons. So let's start with some of the pros, starting with its good combat. And what I mean by that is that it doesn't seem to get old beating up the same bad guys over and over again, at least in my opinion. Another thing is that the gadgets are really fun to use and make the combat pretty fun. The second pro is that the web swinging is really fun, and sometimes fast travel doesn't even seem worth it because of how fun web swinging is. Another thing is, of course, the graphics. In a few words, they're pretty good and are pretty smooth most of the time. Some other pros of the game include that if you're a person who likes to 100% get all achievements in a game, Spider-Man Remastered isn't very difficult to 100%, and also doesn't feel like too much of a grind while doing so. There are a lot of suits you can unlock, and most of them are actually really cool. The story is pretty good, especially if you're a Spider-Man or Marvel fan, and the DLC is honestly just as good as the main game, and it isn't too repetitive. There may be a few places where it gets slightly repetitive, but even then, it's not too much, and it's still fun. Now moving on to some of the cons, and the first thing I wanted to mention is the boss fights. Don't get me wrong, I like fighting the Sinister Six just as much as the next guy, but in my opinion, there should be more boss fights instead of just beating up a bunch of goons. Another thing that kind of goes along with this is that the boss fights are almost too easy, especially the final boss. They may be easier for some people than others, but to me, even on ultimate difficulty, they just seem to be a breeze. The game is also a bit pricey, but if you could get it on sale for cheaper, it's for sure worth it. My last con for the game is that the game takes a good bit of power, and if you're playing on PC, I wouldn't recommend playing it for too long periods of time so that your PC doesn't overheat, but if you have a good cooling system, you should be fine. Another thing that goes along with this is that when I played it and tried to use fast travel, it would sometimes work, but other times my games would crash. I'm sure it doesn't do this to everyone, but just a warning in case it does. So now to answer the question, is Spider-Man Remastered worth it? And my answer is yes. It's overall a good game. Like I said before, it's a bit pricey, and if you can get it on sale, then it's for sure worth it. But even if not, it's still worth the price. Those were just my honest opinions and what I got out of the game, and feel free to let me know in the comments what you think. It's been Hyrax, and this is the end of the review.